Okay, GG's. GG's. So, listen, during the raid, I'm going to focus on the ads because the boss one-shots. So, getting stun locked by the AoE DOT CC from some fodder trying to be the MC tilts me. So, I got the ads. Gamers have a language of their own. We speak with acronyms and words that have double meanings or essentially new words altogether all the time. For a lot of people, like my mom and girlfriend, it's very confusing when I speak in gamers speak. And it's not the only culture that does that. There's many cultures that kind of have their own language in which they talk. For example, skateboarders. Skateboarders have a full language of tricks that really doesn't make sense to anybody besides them. With gaming, there's a lot of clear terminology that we use that people are familiar with and understand, like first-person shooter or role-playing game. But sometimes those can get misconstrued based on people's perspective. My goal in this video is to kind of break down some of the more commonly used expressions and gaming acronyms and phrases so that way my mom can understand what I'm saying and maybe your mom can understand too. We'll bridge the gap between the gamers and the non-gamers, and also for the people that say what they say and don't know what they're saying, they can understand it a little better. Let's take it from the top. Genres of games. There is about 5 main genres of games that have a lot of subgenres within them. We'll kind of break those down today and look at them. We'll also do a couple acronyms as well. First genre of games, one of the most popular genres of games, first-person shooter. First-person shooter is you are in the perspective of the person. It's kind of like a first-person novel. When they read in first person, they're saying I, me. And when you're playing a first-person shooter, you are in the eyes of the person shooting the gun. First-person perspectives used in other genres of games too, but most commonly identified with first-person shooters. Obviously, a shooting game because you're shooting a gun or a bow and arrow, shooting a projectile. Second genre of games, role-playing games. This is kind of a blurred line, a little bit less direct than first-person shooters. Role-playing game is you are playing the role of something. Fable is one of the, prolific role-playing games, and World of Warcraft is also a role-playing game, and those games you're playing the role of an adventurer, or a sorcerer, or a wizard, or a knight. Role-playing games is a very broad genre of games because there's so many roles to be played. It's arguable that you're playing the role of a soldier when you're playing Call of Duty. Most would deny that Call of Duty is a role-playing game. One thing I will say, role-playing games is something that is my favorite genre of games, but there's a distinguishing factor between my favorite genre of games and role-playing games as a whole. My favorite genre of games is Japanese role-playing games. And there's certain characteristics about Japanese role-playing games that are distinctively different. More specifically, the mechanics and the way that the game is laid out, usually much more anime-like for those that, can kind of familiarize themselves with that terminology. But no, I think role-playing games is very, 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 very popular genre of games, like Skyrim or even Fallout. Those are all role-playing games. Platformer. Platformer is one of the most prolific, well-known genres of games because there's Mario, there's Sonic, there's Mario and Sonic. Most people identify with those characters more than anything, but there's also Metroid, Mega Man, there's so many different platforming games, and these ones are a little bit, I think platforming games are kind of the introductory to gaming for a lot of people. A lot of people started playing games in Mario, Mario. Platforming games is, again, kind of a subgenre in gaming now. You do a lot of platforming in other games. For example, Assassin's Creed is a blend of the two genres, role-playing, platformer. And the reason why I would say it's a platformer is because there's a lot of parkour in those games. Well, it used to be. Less now, but more then. Kind of going back to the roots of parkour. Parkour and maneuvering obstacles, those is kind of what platforming games have evolved into. Moving across more complicated platforms with more complicated ways to move across them. An evolution of gaming of sorts. Side scrollers. Now, side scrollers is another subgenre. It is a huge genre in itself, and a lot of gamers love side scrollers specifically. Side scrollers is essentially synonymous for it being a 2D game. Go to the side. You scroll to the side. There's no depth to the game. There's no third dimension. Side-scrolling games, again, Mario. A lot of people think of Mario when they play side-scrollers, but there's a lot of other games that are side-scrollers too. Side-scrolling innately introduces platforming. There's no side-scrollers that I know that there's no platforming involved. But when platforming is the main thing you do in the game, that's when it becomes a platforming game to me. Like I said, Sonic, Mario, basically parkour simulators. There's bosses to fight, of course, but side-scrolling is the main thing you do in the game, or platforming is the main thing you do in the game. And the fifth genre that we'll talk about today is turn-based games. Turn-based games are essentially games where you take turns. Now, a good example of this is obviously Pokemon. That's because on your turn, your Pokemon does something. On their turn, their Pokemon does something. These are like the nations of gaming, kind of like an Avatar. These are the once with these ingredients, you can make the Powerpuff Girls. You need to kind of blend them to make the new genres of games that we have now. You know, back in the day, just one of those would be enough. That's not what we're looking at anymore. We're looking at a state of gaming where we need to throw all of them together to make one game that people are satisfied with. I don't always agree that you need to have all of them in the game to make it a satisfying experience, but a lot of people have really high standards when it comes to their gaming experiences. Those are kind of the foundation. We're gonna just run through some quick acronyms so that way that sentence I said before makes sense for you. GGs. GG means good game. Good game is something that people say in one of two ways: complimentary, derogatory. When people say good game, it's usually because they did good, or that was a good game, they had a good time. Or good game as in you lost really bad. You did very bad. Hey, you know, good game, a good game. I had a good game. Some people disagree that it was a good game, and that's fine too. We don't always have to agree that the game was good. All we have to agree on is the game was a game. A raid. Now, a raid is something that it's a word that's used outside of gaming. It's a word that's used in the real world too. But a raid is essentially when multiple units or multiple things are working together to achieve a specific task. There's raid systems in computers and networking. There's raid systems in, you know, our body. In gaming, a raid is when multiple people are working together to complete a dungeon or some sort of quest, or more specifically, a boss of some kind, a final big bad guy, right? Getting focused in a game is when a creature, person, everybody is attacking you. This is important for another word, aggro. Aggro is a shortened version of aggression. You're taking the creature's aggression or the player's aggression. I'm pulling their aggro, so I'm getting focused because I'm doing the most damage. For example, this is a good analogy of this. If you have a prick in your finger and a broken leg, you're gonna focus and put more aggression on the broken leg than the prick on the finger. When you're fighting a raid boss and all your friends are pricking the fingers, but you're snapping the legs, that's why you're getting focused and taking the most damage. Tell your friends to step up their gear stats. Simple enough. One shot is real simple. You get killed in one shot. More specifically, you complete the task in one shot. Now, the context I'm using is the boss one-shot me. The boss killed me in one shot, right? When you one-shot a game, you don't make any mistakes. Similar to speedrunning, but sometimes I'll one-shot puzzles. I'll look at the puzzle, solve it instantly. Not have to make another attempt. Did it in one try. But one shot, obviously, you know, most bosses do projectiles or damage of some kind, so that's why the shot comes in. I hope this is making sense for you guys that don't understand gamer terminology. Most gamers I know will understand what I'm saying without me even having to explain it. But now when I say it, you don't have to question me anymore. You should know. The ads. Now, I honestly have no idea where the term ads came from. We'll have to look that up and put it up on the screen. But ads are basically a bunch of little enemies that come out when you're trying to fight a big enemy to distract you, right? And so you got a bunch of ants, and then you got a huge cockroach and or a badger of some kind, right? And the ants are just annoying the life out of you, or more specifically, distracting you from your main goal, which is fighting the main boss. And so fighting the ads always going to be something that's really annoying in a lot of raids or objectives. These are just people that show up to distract you. Stunlocked. Stunlocked is synonymous with a deer in the headlights. You're stunned and you're locked in place. And that's what happens in games. Unfortunately, you can't snap out of it until the timer goes to zeros. If I get stun locked in a game, I'm useless, especially if we're working together. And it's really, really frustrating and difficult. It's one of the most annoying mechanics, getting stun locked. AoE, an acronym, stands for Area of Effect. Area of Effect attack is when there is an area that is affected by the attack. I'll make a real life analogy for area of effect. When someone passes gas, there's generally an area of effect, and that area of effect is just real dependent on the power of the attack. And this actually transitions us nicely into our next term, which is DOT. Damage over time. Now, if in preceding the analogy I was making, when there's an area of effect by someone passing gas, if you are in that AoE, you are going to take DOT. That is damage over time in your nose. So you want to make sure to move from the AoE so you don't take DOT. Now imagine a world where you're locked in. You know, someone farts in a car, right? That's what we're getting at. We farted in a car, and you're taking damage over time. And if I'm playing a game, the last thing I want to experience is being locked in a fart car. That is an awful experience. I would never choose to do that. I will even say the last part of it is affected too. CC is crowd control effects. Crowd control is something that is used in gaming, but I think we need to use it in other fields of life as well, because it's very important. It's a great strategy for the player and the game itself. When we're facing a group of enemies or a group of people, or we're the group of people, and we need to sedate all of them, or we need to stun them in some way, we do a crowd control effect. Real life analogy for you, right? We got London on the track. Nah, I don't know why I said that. We got 100 people. They're outside. They're picketing, and they're upset because they want a raise. We can't give them a raise. The budget just can't support it. So what we'll do is we'll give them some paid time off. That's crowd control. We've controlled the crowd with the PTO. Just giving them a little bit of paid time off will sedate them enough to where they'll be able to, either find another job, or we can find another solution. Obviously, that's not in gaming at all. There's just damage over time with CC's farts in the car. Crowd control effects can be other things, like you can't run, you can't dodge, you can't do the things you need to do in the game to achieve your goal. Now, when I say ads, the little minions are doing AoE, CC, DOT, you understand what that means now. You understand that sentence. You've been educated on what that sentence means. Let's proceed. MC, main character. Now, this has been used in a lot of in real life analogies, because this is something that transcends gaming. Being the main character it's about you. You're the most important, or everything's happening because of you. A lot of people see their life as them as the main character, and you should be the main character of your life. Your life should be about you and what you do in your life. And me personally, I want to make my life about greater things. I do that, and that's how I see myself as main character. The last thing is really tilts me. Getting tilted. You ever tilt your head because you're mad about something? You're like, I don't like that. That's what tilting is. It's not actually that, but that's my comparison. Good luck, have fun. Real simple. That's actually what it means, what it says. Good luck, have fun. Now, people usually say that before they play a game together, or they say that when someone's going to depart. Like, hey, I'm gonna go do this. Oh, yeah, good luck, have fun. It's a term of endearment that can't be misconstrued like good game, right? Good game. GG is dangerous. Okay, I know I said a lot today, guys, and I appreciate you bearing with me, but there is a lot to be said about this, and I'll probably make another video in the future kind of breaking down some more things I didn't touch base on today. We really just made it so you can understand what gamers are saying now. You have a good introduction to it. Now, obviously, most of my videos are catered towards gamers already, but show this to your mom or your sister or your girlfriend, so that way she can understand you a little bit. Again, if you need somebody to understand you better, thank you for allowing me to do that. And thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. If you enjoy me, make sure to subscribe. If you have anything to say, make sure you say it in the comments below. I'm certain someone else will have something to say or appreciate your input. Until next time, thank you guys. I love you. I'm out. Peace.